Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonny Lipsham.
Hello everybody, welcome to another Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, over here in Jonny Lipsham Studios in Edinburgh in Scotland, the capital of the world. Hope everybody is doing well, and right off the bat I have to say a huge thank you to two very generous people. Even though in the chat thing it's a bit broken, it's like got loads of $10 donations, but I'm pretty sure that there are only two. One is from Mike Neighbor for $10 saying thanks for all the help yesterday, you're very welcome. And Ken Moss, thanks for all the help and everything you do for all of us, who donates $20. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the very kind generosity. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure to help you both out and help you get set up for doing a collaboration over Skype, which is very cool with Studio One and using Loopback, using one of the USB Studio interfaces. And it took us a while to get it sorted out, but very thankfully it's sorted out and you guys are up and running, which is cool. So very, very glad to hear it. Let's see who is here. Lots of people are here, and you guys have been chatting. My neighbor said, hey, it's Helium Baby. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of an in-joke. I'm going to kind of show a little bit of that. Some of the fun you could have with using the pedal board on a vocal track. And the pitch shifter. If you have the Empire High Density Pack, you have access to the pitch shifter, and let me tell you this, it's hilarious. And it appeals to the simple-minded like me, and maybe one or two others as well. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate that a little bit, because I thought it would be quite entertaining to do that. But I'm also going to show you something else that's very cool as well, which came up actually earlier in this week, thanks to one of our customers who made a support ticket for Persona's technical support, and they posed an interesting question, which was, if you use the multi-instrument feature in Studio One, can you use note effects on the different instruments? For example, if you wanted to have an arpeggiator on both instruments, but you wanted to have them doing different things, can you do that? The answer is yes. And I'm going to show you how to do that, because it took me a minute to figure out how to do it. And then I basically sent the customers a short little video suggesting how to set it up. And they were happy with the results. So you're welcome, Marcos. So we got loads of folks chatting away here, which is going to make it very hard for me to do my usual thing, which is basically see who's here and who isn't. But we got 21 people watching right now, which is awesome. John Lake was the first in the door, very, very early to the show, saying, hi, I'll be back later. And then he says, hi, bye. Tony's here, Mike Neighbor is here, Marcos is here, Kyle is here, and you guys have been chatting it up with Ken. Bob Studios is here, and I have to fly through this chat to see who else is here. Martin Weeks is here. Music to Motion is here as well. Who else is here? Let me see. Thomas is here. He's normally first in the door, but not tonight, Thomas. But good to see him, my good friend Thomas over in the Philippines. Bill Shepherd is here. Bill, I believe you're at the Studio One meetup on Friday. Hope you enjoyed it. Who else is here? Alps Media is here as well, the sponsor for Home Studio Trainer. Good to see you, Louis. Hope you're doing well. Mars the Second Genesis. I do believe that is my friend Alan over in Glasgow, just across the road. We're all still in lockdown. Yep, we are here too. And yeah, my kids are beginning to get on my nerves. But don't tell them that I said that. But yeah, you guys are chatting away here at a million miles per hour, talking about all sorts of things, including languages, sci-fi, all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So I'm very glad that everybody is here. If you are new to the show and you are just watching and you're not involved in the chat, you don't have to be involved if you don't want to be, but please do say hello at the very least and make yourself known to the very fine folk who are here in the chat. They won't bite. They are an extremely friendly bunch of people. We usually have between 20 and 25, 26, sometimes 30 people here, which is pretty cool. Small, close-knit, very friendly community. They know each other pretty well by now, I would say. You're a little busy. That's cool. Not a problem, Thomas. All right, so let's get into what I'm going to show you. And then we will get into your questions after that. So I don't know what the hell am I doing with my hands? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So I think what we'll do first is we'll do the multi-instrument thing first. And hopefully I can remember how to do it. And then after that, I'll show you what can be done with the pitch shifter on a vocal track. It's pretty obvious. Everybody knows what pitch shifters do, but It's entertaining, it's fun, it's childish, and I get to be childish once in a while. And since it is my show, I'm going to be childish. Because I like to be. Bobby Boo with a $5 donation. Thank you very much, Bobby. You are immensely kind and generous, and your support of me over the last 7 years has been immense. You were there when I was trying very hard to do my very first live streams on the most pathetic internet you could have for broadband. And you have stuck with me ever since, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate. All right, so let's get started, because this is going to be a fun show, I think. So let's go over to the screen, and I need to make sure I'm on the right screen. Okay, here we are over in Studio One. And what we need to do is we need some instruments. I don't know why I said it in that voice. It was weird. Sorry about that. All right, so let's get in Mai Tai. And we're going to find ourselves a nice, interesting little pads kind of sound thing. Let's see what this one does. I'm just picking them at random. Let's see what this one's like. That's quite nice. What's this? Gregor's Friends? What the heck? Well, that's quite nice. Let's have a bit of that. All right, and then what we're going to do is we are going to combine this. Excuse me. I have some phlegm in my throat, so please forgive the snorts. I apologize. And we're going to combine this maybe with Presence XT. So you basically just drag and drop Presence on top. And then it says, do you want to replace or combine the instrument Mai Tai? We're going to combine. And this gives you this awesome splitter kind of thing. And then in the Presence, we're going to hit Edit. And we're going to grab, let's see, it doesn't really matter what kind of piano. Let's just grab this one. Just for funsies. Then we're going to come back out of that. And now we've got both of our things here, and what we can do here is we can add a note effects. So let's go and grab an arpeggiator, and we'll go with this Balkan Nights thing just for funsies to start with. Now at the moment it's automatically dropped it on here, so it's going to apply equally to both, and of course it's on the hold setting, which I don't want. Let's turn it off. Alright, so we're going to have that one apply to the Mai Tai. Then we're going to go and grab another one. And we'll set this one on something different. We'll go for swinging chords, just because we can. And then we're going to drag that one over there. So now we have two completely different settings. And I'm just going to go and check this setting and make sure it's going to do what we want it to do. Because these might actually conflict a little bit. So let's just see what we have. And one of them has a bit of a weird kind of doink. There we go. Let's turn that doink down a little bit. There you go. So you can have quite a lot of fun with that. Kevin's Guitar Stories with $10 donation. Thank you very much. Wow. Donations coming thick and fast tonight. Wow, you guys are making me speechless. I really appreciate it. More than you guys could possibly imagine. But this is loads and loads of fun. Now, I've got two relatively similar kind of patterns going on here. But you can change it up. You can, you can have something a little bit different of a pattern like this one here. Let's see what this one's like. Has that one got a hold on it? Yes, it does. Get it. Shut up. Thank you. If you don't want the hold on, make sure you turn it off. Otherwise it gets a little bit ugly. But and then you can have as much fun as you want with your chord changes, and you can create something really quite unique. And then let's go and find something that we can put with that from this guy. UJam, the UJam Virtual Drummer. Let's see what we can find. I don't know what this does. Yeah, let's try. That's going to kind of go across what we're doing. Let's try this. Kind of a little bit straight. We want something with a little bit of swing here. Let's try this. That would definitely do it. So let's just grab from the top here, and then we'll just drag it into here. We'll close the massive, great big, gigantic UJam GUI. And I'm just going to duplicate this a few times. There we go. Nice little 16 bar vamp. We'll turn that off. We'll go back over here. Okay, I quite like that. Let's do. There we go. I like that. So let's set up a click, shall we? There we go. Let's just give ourselves our pre-count. And we got the click in. There we go. That's cool. All right. Check the fun out you can have with this. There we go. That'll do for that. And then we'll duplicate that. There we go. Turn off the click. Alright, and then I could put a bass part underneath all of that as well, but, you know, I don't want to kind of take up too much time. Oh, sorry, what the hell, why not? Why not? I don't have the virtual bass player, because that would be quite fun if I had the virtual bass player, but I don't. So, let's get presence in here, and we'll go for, what we'll go for? Let's see. Contemporary bass with the old fingers. And I'm going to have to try and come up with something funky for this. This could be challenging. Oh yes, cowboy, you should keep it in. Very funny, yes. Right, I have to try and remember those chord changes now. Let's see what we can come up with. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Not the tidiest bass playing I have ever done in my life, but it will do. And then we can just duplicate that. And now we've got ourselves a nice little loop. Or at least we will have if I draw the loop range around it. There you go. And just like that, you've completely created a reasonably funky little piano part, which after a while, I have to admit that that rhythm's going to get irritating. Ding, 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 ding. It's going to get irritating. So have a play around with that and see what different combinations of like arpeggiator patterns you can come up with on the different instruments that you've got in your multi-instrument, and just rock out, have some fun with it. Yeah, those weren't the chords from Peg in the slightest. But yeah, they were vaguely kind of jazz orientated. Yeah, they were vaguely jazz orientated. Chord changes. Marcus says, not lying, this tune is great. Yeah, not bad for something I've just knocked up in literally 5 minutes. Bass is Jonny Lipsham's main bread and butter regarding live music and session work. It kind of is. Yep, I do a lot of bass playing, but it's not the only thing I do. I'm what they call a multi-instrumentalist, which means I play a lot of different instruments to a high degree of proficiency. So in my case, I am a bass player, but I'm also a piano player, hence the jazz chords and all that. I'm also a vocalist. I'm also a drummer. I'm also a saxophone player and occasional trumpet player. So I could do like a one-man 5-piece band, but I'm not going to do that. I said I could. Doesn't mean I can or should. But there we go. So that's the multi-instrument thing, which is quite cool, quite entertaining, and you can have different note effects on one. So you could have arpeggiator on one, and you could have a different note effects on the other, and just experiment and try and create something unique and distinct and funky and fun to play with, and have a ball with it. All right, so let's do the other thing I was going to show you, the pitch shifter, because it's just fun, and I like to have fun, and I'm sure you guys do too. So we will go back to the start page. We'll do a new song. And this time, we want the effects tab open, and we just want a vocal track. So there we go, with a vocal track. And I'm going to monitor it. Now, you're going to probably hear my voice twice. Sorry about that. It is just the nature of how this is going to work. So I'm going to open the mixer. I'm going to close that. We'll give ourselves a little bit of screen real estate there. And then we're going to go down and we're going to find the pedal board. Pedal board, where are you? There you are, pedal board. Now, if you have the Ampere High Density Pack, you will have access to this. And Mike, Neighbor, and Ken Moss know exactly where I'm going with this. So let's do it. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to grab the pitch shifter, and you might already be able to hear this. Hang on. I don't know if you can actually hear this. Let me stick some headphones on and see if this is actually going to work or not. At the moment, it's not set on anything. Let me try that. I don't know if you guys... Can you guys hear this? You might not be able to hear this. Okay, in which case this might not work. But Mike Neighbor, this is where I'm going to need your help. I don't know whether you guys can hear this. Let me just grab this and roll it up. And there we go. You should now be able to hear my voice up an octave. And Ken says I actually get to hear it this time, not via 2 calls removed. Yes, that was tricky. But there you go. That's with my voice up an octave, and I probably sound like a Scottish Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like if Alvin was from Edinburgh, from the south side of Edinburgh, that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Alright, so there you go. I thought that might entertain you. Martin says, why wouldn't you just use the pitch wheel on your keyboard? Yeah, because it doesn't work like that. This is a vocal track. This is not a MIDI instrument. So the just using the pitch wheel on the keyboard would not work because it's not a MIDI input. This is me. This is my voice. So can still hear regular voice with the chipmunk on top. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. Because my live mic is going through OBS at the same time as the Studio One mic. Hang on, maybe I can do it. Hang on. Can you guys still hear me? Yes, you should still be able to hear me because now you can hear me going through Studio One and not through OBS. So this should work a bit better.
This time, there we go. How's that? I don't know whether you can hear my regular voice on top of the chipmunk voice, but it should be just the chipmunk voice for you guys. I can hear both. So let me know whether you can hear both. So can you hear just the chipmunk voice? Because I've actually turned my input into OBS off, so you shouldn't actually hear that. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. You should say, okay, Dave. Yes, chipmunk only. Yes, yay!
I am easily entertained. But you can also do down an octave, which gives you something a little bit darker and a little bit more less
pleasant to listen to. So here is the evil chipmunk sound. So, this would be great if you want to do that kind of I'm an evil person kind of voice for a voiceover track. If that's something you need to do, this might work for you. Or if you just want to freak people out and disguise your voice, this could be quite entertaining.
And then you can slowly shift between the two. By basically just slowly pressing that down,
and the voice goes down with it. Like that. So, Luke, I am your father. Billy Morgan says pitch it down. It is pitched down. So,
and then that's me back to normal. Martin says, why don't you record some off-the-top vocals for that song you just started using the arpeggiator? I could do some chipmunky kind of thing, maybe. That could be quite entertaining. Hang on, let's close that out. Let's hang on, I need to put that input back on, take that off, and let's go back over to our other song, this one here, and let's create a vocal track. Martin, this is your fault. I'm going to blame you entirely. So let's go get our vocal track. There we go. And we're going to go to effects and open the mixer. Close those. Don't need those. All right, so let's go and grab that. And we'll go back over to the pitch shifter just because it's fun. And I'll go back up to, hang on, up 2 octaves, no, up 1 octave. There we go, that's the one I want. Okay, so let me just switch my inputs. So there we've got both, and if I turn the OBS one off, there we go. So now you're hearing me directly through Studio One, and we will
Floor this, and now I'm back as Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. You can, Raina asks a good question. He says, am I wrong? Is the pitch based on the time? Not quite. It's basically taking the signal and it's doing something funky with it. Guitar players have these as guitar pedals. You can get them. So, yeah, they're fun. I don't quite know how it works, but yeah. Alright, so you guys want me to riff some vocals over this. Maybe scat sing? That could be quite fun. Let's loop this a bit.
There we go. A little bit of scat singing. I quite like doing that. It's like an Al Jarreau scat. Yes, if you gave Al Jarreau a helium tank, yes, that's exactly probably what he would do. I love scat singing. I love scat singing. It's something I've done since I was a kid. One of the best ways, if you're an improvising musician, one of the best ways you can learn solos before you even touch your instrument that you're going to play it on. Listen to the recording and learn every note of the solo and then sing along with it. That way you internalize the solo. I did this when I was a kid because I had no friends. So my record player, or rather my mother's record player, was my friend, and her Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie records, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Michael Brecker, the Brecker Brothers. I put all of those records on. And I would learn all of their improvisations, all of their solos, and to the point where I could sing every single note of them. So I obsessively learned John Coltrane's Giant Steps, all, I think it's 17 or 18 choruses of his solo on Giant Steps. I learned every single note of it so that I could sing it. And so that taught me a lot about improvisation. And then the trick really is as you build up a vocabulary of phrases from learning through scat singing solos, you then learn how to apply them to the piano. That's the trick, is getting what's in your head and now internalized in your being to come out of your fingers. And the way that I personally do that is by, let me switch over to the camera now. The way I do that, personally, I can take these off now. And let's switch inputs back again. Yeah, the way I personally do that is by, as I'm playing, I'm singing what I'm playing, and then I'm trying to sing ahead of myself, so I sing a phrase ahead, and then try and play that. And see if that can come, see if I can get that phrase to come out on the piano. And that teaches me a lot about improvisation. And, you know, a lot of the great improv singers like Ella Fitzgerald or Billie Holiday or, you know, Frank Sinatra, Sarah Vaughan, they all did this to varying degrees of high skill. And in fact, you know, even great, you know, saxophone players or trumpet players, That's how they learned to improvise. They learned by hearing other people and then singing what they heard on the records or at the clubs and internalizing it and then learning how to make those phrases come out on their instruments. That's how Charlie Parker got so good as he did, because when he was young, one of the jobs he had as a young teenage musician was washing dishes in a jazz club where Art Tatum, the great piano player, was playing. And he was there for like a 4-week residency where he would play every single night for 4 weeks. And Charlie Parker made sure that he was in the kitchen washing the dishes, and he was just able to just completely absorb everything he heard Art Tatum do on the piano. And because he'd be alone in the kitchen at that time, because everything else had been done and he'd be just washing the dishes, he could sing out what he was hearing. And then he would go home, and the first thing he'd do is pick up his saxophone and play what he had learned, what he had heard. And that's how he developed. And he took the things that he learned from Art Tatum, he took the things he learned from, other players around at the time, and took what they were doing to the next level. And so, that's how genius happens. That's how genius in music is created. Mozart did much the same thing. He listened to the great composers of his time when he was young and took their developments and took them to the next level. So there you go. So if you want to get good at improvising, that's the way to do it, man. All right, so question time, because we got about 20 minutes or so left. I don't mind running over a little bit if you guys are up for that. I will definitely take your Studio One questions, or your music questions, or your composing or arranging questions, or if you've got questions about improvising, that kind of stuff. If I haven't already kind of answered it to some degree, then yeah, I would happily take your questions. But that was a lot of fun to do that. Bob Studios says the hardest part is to scat from head to hands. It really is. But the more you scat, the more you get those phrases into your mind and into your heart, that connection then between your heart and your hands gets easier the more you just sit down and just do it. And one of the things I like to do when I have free time, which is not very often these days because lockdown, I have my kids at home, I'm homeschooling, and I'm trying to work full-time for Personas, and I'm also doing my business as well. So I don't have a whole lot of free time, but when I do have free time outside of my main practice time, because I have a whole practice routine scheduled, which I've had for decades, and it's an ingrained habit now. I probably cannot break it. But yeah, if I have any free time, I like to sit and listen to something that is going to challenge me, like for example, a Michael Brecker solo, the late great Michael Brecker, because there was a guy who was a genius and an innovator, and I will sit and I will play a loop of one of his phrases over and over again and try and get myself to transcribe it, to parse it on the piano, rather than actually writing it out. I will listen to what he's doing and then try and pick out the main anchor notes of his phrase and then allow the other notes to kind of fill themselves in with, maybe 3, maybe 4 repeats. And then I have the phrase. And then the trick is getting that phrase up to his speed and then being able to take that phrase and use it on a set of chord changes in a different context, like a context in which I would work rather than a context in which he was working when I heard him play that phrase. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Lawrence is here. He says, came in late, thought the stream was playing fast. Yeah, I was playing around with the pitch shifter. John Akers says he brought the helium to the live stream. Yep, absolutely. It was a lot of fun doing that. Just don't ask me to do it again. Bobby Mcferrin is, as Kyle says, Bobby Mcferrin is one of my musical heroes, because not only is he a great scat singer, he does impressions of real instruments, like clarinets and flutes and things like that, and trumpets. And he sounds pretty much like that actual instrument. It's amazing to hear him do it. I think my favorite thing of Bobby's that I have seen on YouTube was where he sat in with Chick Corea. And he had, who else did he have with him? He had, Chick Corea had Michael Brecker, John Patitucci on bass, and I'm trying to remember who the drummer was. I'm not sure whether it was Dave Weckl or not. I can't honestly remember whether it was Dave or not. But Bobby came and sat in with Chick and his band, and hilarity ensued because, you know, he was trying to outdo Mike Brecker, then he was trying to outdo Chick for improvisation with all of his like vocalizing. It was really, really clever and really hilarious as well. Very, very entertaining. Let's see. Martin says, I knew I was smart for working restaurants that had great music when I was a teen. Never knew that Bird did that as well. Yeah, he did. Ken says, Billy Joel's first album, Cold Spring Harbor, was recorded at the wrong speed and he ended up sounding like the Chipmunks. Worth a fortune if you can find an original copy. I had heard that, yeah. I had heard that. Yeah, Billy is another one of my musical heroes because he's a terrific songwriter. And if you've ever seen him live, I've seen him live maybe 2 or 3 times. If you've ever seen him live, his show is extraordinary because you get to not only see a great singer and songwriter, but if you're not careful, you can completely overlook the fact that he has extremely good piano skills. He is a terrific piano player. It's like Elton John. You know, everybody gets caught up with the flamboyance and all of the showmanship that he does, but he is a terrific piano player. He is amazing. He's doing all sorts of hand independence things. And singing and showing off, and it's incredibly impressive watching Elton perform. And Billy is kind of in that class as well as a terrific piano player. I mean, different style for sure, but definitely in that kind of vein as a piano player, singer, songwriter. Another one that I like is Bruce Hornsby, and who had a massive hit with "That's Just the Way It Is," which is a great song. And again, you can completely overlook his incredible piano chops. He's had a few really great solo records. And he's had some great musicians play on those. I have maybe 2 of them, and I'm trying to remember the titles of those records. And for the moment, they are escaping my memory. One of them is a little bit kind of like what you said about Billy Joel's, what was it, Cold Spring Harbor. The other, the Bruce Hornsby one I'm thinking of also had the word harbor in it, and I can't remember what the rest of the title is. But it's a terrific record, and again, really terrific piano skills to watch. Ishmael says, I thought my audio was messed up with the pitch shift. Yeah, I'm sure. Let's see. Bob Studios has a question. He says, I'm rebuilding a machine, Windows 10. What version of Persona Studio One can I reinstall without paying an additional $? Well, if you already have Studio One in your My Personas account, you have, I mean, a lot of people get this wrong, so we got to be careful here. You get 1 license. You don't get 5. You only get 1. But you get 5 activations of that 1 license that are yours for your use only. So you can use them on your computers, but you cannot transfer an activation of your license to anybody else. That would be that would break the terms of use, and you could actually have your account completely shut down for that kind of thing. So don't be sharing activations. If you want to transfer a Studio One license to somebody else, you can do that. You will need to submit a support ticket to do that, because there is a particular procedure to do that, and there's a fee as well, a $25 fee that you need to pay in order to be able to get that done, because there, products have to be shifted from one account to another. So There's time and effort involved in that. But yes, otherwise, you have 5 activations of your license. So if you've only used one on your previous computer, on your new computer, you just download and install the same product as if you're doing it for the first time. And it would just use up one of your activations. So you will be fine. Music to Motion with the $10 donation. Good grief, you guys are horrendously generous. I love it. Thank you very much. You guys are so kind. Carl says Billy has been doing a monthly gig at Madison Square Garden for a while. Yeah, he has. I'm sure he isn't at the moment because I'm pretty sure that COVID restrictions are probably not allowing it right now. But yes, he was indeed, Billy Joel was classically trained on the piano, as was Bruce Hornsby, as was Elton John. They all received a high level of classical training on the piano. I didn't. I have had no lessons on this instrument whatsoever. I learned a little bit from watching a great piano player who lived in the same town as I did when I was a boy. And she had led one of the most successful all-female big bands in Europe in the 1930s and early 1940s. I need to move my chair. And early 1940s. And she was the piano player, and she led the band. She wrote the charts, and she's a great musician. And I would, instead of having piano lessons with her, which is what I was supposed to have, my parents would pay for the lessons, and instead of me actually sitting and kind of at the piano and learning under her instruction, I would pay to just basically sit and watch her play. And we would talk harmony, we would talk arranging, and those kind of things. Those are the things that I was interested in. But I learned a lot from watching her play, more than she thought, because when it came to doing my exams on piano in order to go to university and things like that, she was just like, "Oh, so you really did pay attention in those classes?" I said, "Yeah, I lapped up every single note you played." She goes, "How can you have done that when you never sat down at the piano?" And it's just like, well, I have an oral memory. I remember every note you played. And it's just a case of playing what I heard you play. And it worked. But yeah, I had a piano tutor of sorts in that sense. I didn't really have proper piano lessons. I just, as I said, I used my parents' money to basically sit and watch her play. Let's see, Martin says, I don't suppose there are any videos or sound files on the internet of her and her band. Unlikely. Highly unlikely. Let me just say that I have tried pretty much since YouTube was invented, way back, I think it was 2006. I have tried a lot to find archive footage of her and her band, and I have not been successful. Bob James is another great piano player, absolutely. Alongside him, I'd also list Greg Fillinganes as well, if you've ever had the chance to see him with people like the late Michael Jackson, and I'm trying to think of a few other people that Greg has played with. He was on Donald Fagen's solo album, The Nightfly. He's been on Michael McDonald's records. He was, what's her name? Damn it. He was Tina Turner. I think it was Tina Turner. I could be wrong, but I think he was Tina Turner's musical director for a while. But yeah, Greg is a wonderful, wonderful piano player. Michael Amartian is another one, if you've ever heard of him. He's another great session piano player. Yeah, Bob James's theme to Taxi. I used to play that a lot. Not on piano. I used to play that on fretless bass, actually, in my teens. And I love that tune. It's a great little tune. And he used to play that on Fender Rhodes, which is kind of the sound that I can tend to go for here. So we got about 8 minutes left, folks. Betty Gripper was her name, the name of my piano teacher. Let's see. Mr. Dislike is in the room. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Ken says also played with Stevie Wonder. Yeah, Greg has absolutely played with Stevie Wonder. Yeah. Bob Sue says, I've met many folks, drummers, along the road, and they showed me many things. I appreciate sites like this where folks share tricks and tips. Speaking of drummers and drummers sharing things, this evening, before, maybe just kind of like around about dinner time here in the UK, I watched Dave Weckl do a stream, which he's been doing, I think, every week now since lockdown started. Mostly on Saturdays, but occasionally he shifts it to Sunday. Like this week, he shifted it to Sunday, and it's really, really good. He's a very, very, very good educator. His early instructional DVDs, like from when he was young in his 20s, they weren't that good. They weren't that instructional, but he has definitely come a very long way since those days in the late 80s, early 90s. And he's a terrific teacher. I highly recommend, if you're a drummer, to go and watch one of his streams on his YouTube channel, because they're really good. Really good. And he's a terrific drummer. Let's see. Betty Gripper. Gripper. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Good luck trying to find her, because I haven't. But yeah, she was a one of a kind. Yeah, Dave is a cool guy. I like Dave. I met him once when he was in London for, what was the occasion? It was a drum clinic or something like that. I got to meet him just the once, and just asked him a very simple question about left-handed drummers like me, because I'm a left-handed player and playing traditional grip and all of that. So he gave me some really cool advice about that and about setup. When was that? That would have been 1996, 1997 maybe. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Cool guy. Randy Bachman has been doing a stream with his son Tal, originals and covers, not covels. I don't know what a covel is. Do you know? I don't. Yeah, quite a few people are doing streams as well. Like Chick Corea has been doing a Facebook Live regularly. I've seen a few of his. Okay, what else are you guys saying? We've got like 3 minutes left. I don't want to miss anything. Bobby with Yellow Jackets, yes. Yellow Jackets are another kind of band that I grew up listening to in the late 80s, early 90s. Yellow Jackets. Music to Motion says, I love Bruce Hornsby's piano playing. Yeah, me too. Me too. And he's actually a heck of an accordion player as well. I've seen him do, like, he'll do a few songs on piano and then he'll switch over to accordion and do a couple of songs on accordion. He's pretty darn amazing at that as well. Marcus says, I grew up with Richard Clayderman songs and Kenny G. Great musicians. Yeah. No comment. Mostly because I make jokes about Kenny G. Bless him. Elvin Jones. Bob Studios says, another sweetheart, Elvin Jones. I wished I'd got to meet Elvin, because there's a guy that taught me a lot about phrasing. And particularly the way he phrased when he was backing Coltrane. Taught me an awful lot about backing a soloist and phrasing with the soloist, phrasing against the soloist, and not being afraid to kind of make that snare drum pop when you're back in the solo. It's not, just, hushing yourself down to make room for the soloist. You can occasionally just let it pop. He had some great multi-layered polyrhythmic things that he did. Mike Neighbor says, I met 3 famous drummers, Mickey Hart, Nickel McBrain, and Ringo Starr. And I've met Nickel McBrain as well. At a Zildjian Day, I think it was. 1994 Zildjian Day in London. And to finish his clinic, I'll never forget this. He stood on top of his drum stool. Everybody was kind of cheering and applauding and everything else. And he raised his arms into the air, still holding his sticks, and he dived headfirst into his drum set. It was hysterically funny. It was so funny. And then he got up and he had like a gash down his arm, and it was starting to bleed and everything, and he just like waved this gash at the crowd. It was hilarious. It was so funny. But yeah, I've seen him play. I've not actually met him in person, but I saw him play. Ken says Lilan Sklar does daily videos that are fantastic. Yeah, he does. He's done a few videos where he's done play-alongs of Phil Collins hits, and he's talked about how he constructed the bass parts for things like Susudio. He's a terrific bass player. But he gets really annoyed at YouTube when they give him copyright strikes for using Phil's music. You would have thought that he would have got the okay from Phil to do that, but there we go. Peter Brick says, what was that plugin you used to pitch shift? I can show you that right now. If I switch over to Studio One, you can see it here. It's the pitch shifter in the pedal board. The pitch shifter is available if you have the Ampire High Density Pack. If you don't know what that is, you can find it in the Persona shop. It's an add-on for Ampire. If you have Studio One 5, 5.1.1, Studio One 5.1.1 or above, you can purchase and download the Ampire High Density Pack. Now, when you download it, just grab the installer out of your downloads folder and drop it onto the start page, and it will automatically install to the correct place. And when that happens, you'll go, where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. Where is this thing? Well, you need to go into Ampire, and all the extensions are available right here. You see this folder here that says Ampire High Density? You click this fella, and there's a whole bunch of things here. Like there's some bass presets. There's clean, experimental, lead, matched, and riff. Kind of going with what you've already got. I also happen to have the metal pack as well. Not that I'm a metal player at all, but I have actually used some of these metal pack things with my flugelhorn to great effect on a couple of tunes. But yeah. So that's where that comes in. And once you have that, I'm going to remove Ampire because we don't need it. Then you have the Stomp Boxes that come with it. If I just open up another, you can see that there's a few other things here, like there's a gate, there's demolition drive, there's a few new things like space reverb, wild drive. So there's a couple of new Stomp Boxes that come with the High Density Pack as well, that you can have an awful lot of fun with. But yeah, I was using the pitch shifter. I'll show you it one more time, just for funsies. Hold on a minute. Okay, I've got this other input switched on, and then we
just drag it up like that, and now you can hear me as Alvin and the Chipmunks again, because it's hilarious. So there we go. Tim Talks Audio is here. Yay for Tim!
There we go. Tim says, I messed around with the high density bundle not long ago. It's really fun. Yeah, it really, really is. It's absolutely hysterical. Tim asks, does Ampire take MIDI foot switch and or expression pedal control? Great question. Don't know. but I'll ask the guys in Hamburg who developed this, because I was on the team helping design this kind of stuff, and testing it. So I will ask, and see what I can find out for you. Let's see. Peterbrick says, thank you, you're welcome. Flugelhorn, metal flugelhorn. Yeah, I know. I used some distortion and some wah-wah on a track with my flugelhorn, just for fun. Oh. Yeah, you can't hear me. There we go. So, yeah. I hope that helps. I fooled around and fell in love. Yeah, cool. Okay. Thanks, Tim. Yeah. You're funny. I don't actually know whether it does or doesn't. I mean, it has UCNet control, so I wouldn't be surprised if you can control it in some other way via something. So, yeah, possibly. But yeah, I don't actually know for certain. All right, folks, we are at that time of the day where we're pretty much at the end of the show. So thanks very much for all of your extremely kind and generous donations. I appreciate them a lot. You guys are awesome. Thank you to my moderating team. That would be Ken, Tim, Mike, and Bob, who I don't know whether Bob's actually here tonight or not, but if he is, I've maybe missed him coming on. But yeah, a big thank you to those that donated. A big thank you to my moderating team for keeping things nice and tidy and neat. You guys are all awesome. And let me go and actually just see kind of where we peaked at. That's not the button I wanted to press. I wanted to press this one and see kind of where we peaked out at for the show tonight. Yeah, we kind of fell one short of 30. So 29 was where we peaked out at, which is pretty cool. I'm very pleased with that. 29 people is awesome. And again, as I say, a big thank you to Ken, to Mike, to Bobby, to Kevin's Guitars, and to Music to Motion for all your very, very kind donations. You guys have made my night. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys on Wednesday over on Jonny's channel for Songwriting Simplified. Hopefully Jonny will be available. I know he has had some kind of things going on domestically. So hopefully he'll be available. If not, we'll be back here on Wednesday. But Jonny and I will have a chat and we'll put out an announcement. We'll let you all know. We'll try and give you some heads up if we can. But until then, folks, good night.